This is one of the activities related to the celebration of our 25th anniversary. Here I'm talking about the HRD unit, 25 years. And I would want to suggest that our years have been successful in delivering both the HRD Master's Program, but also the PhD program. So we have been doing well, I would say. So it's sensible to do our celebration. I think the same is that organizations need to celebrate their successes. So this is part of it. So this is we call a brown bag. But, I'm looking around
before we keep
to see the bag, because I sure I went to one and they actually had. Yes, and I couldn't believe that it was true too. Yeah. So special welcome to our main facilitator, Desrine McFarlane, and co-facilitator, Ms. Trisha Dawson, named my doctor, back specialist. She's a Dawson too. So what we want to accomplish here, first and foremost, we want our graduates to be in tune with the activities that are pertinent and relevant for transforming the workplace. So even though we have our full-fledged program, we treat this as part of the continuous professional development. Professional development is not just for those who are in the workplace, as far as I'm concerned, but when those in the program take the opportunity to do additional stuff. And in fact, we need to be doing more of that at the University of the West Indies. Persons in other universities will do 4 or 5 additional courses. The tendency here is to do your allotted hours and get out. Cost may be a factor too. We want to ensure, and for the program now, that our program is responsive. It's always possible for us to continue in the same old mode. And only when we are purposeful and deliberate, like what we are doing now, we expose the program to new information, new practices. And of course, it's our responsibility to make the adjustment in our program so that we are abreast with what is happening out there. Of course, we want to learn from the practitioners. You are persons in the field on a daily basis, not only acquiring new knowledge, but also engaging organization and helping them to implement new ideas. And that is going to be important for the program. So a program like this must be constantly engaging the workplace and those who are the theoreticians and practitioners. And that will keep our program going. So we know that doing these things will afford us the opportunity to add another 25 years. And 25 plus 25 is 50.
I won't be here.
And of course, overall, we want to keep what is happening current, constantly current. So those are my general remarks. And just briefly to introduce Desrine McFarlane, and I smile at the name Desrine because um, I grew up with one of my cousins with that name. She's still alive and still has the name Desrine. So it's a name. And I am Disraeli, so yeah. So and Desiree it is. So all these names. So I pay attention to them. So an experienced HR professional with over 27 years experience serving both public and private sector since joining 3M in September 2009. You have extended your reach to Trinidad and Tobago and 7 Central American countries. You highly qualified, your professional qualification include Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration, Northern Caribbean University, and Master's of Science degree, Human Resource Management from Florida International University, and certificates in leadership as coach and leader as developer. So without detaining us any further, we go right into this. Are we doing right into the
Employee, yes.
yeah? So the topic employee experience as the ultimate business strategy to transform your brand. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Mr. Disraeli, what's your last name?
Disraeli Hutton.
Mr. Hutton. Thank you so much. And thanks to the audience. Don't worry. I am a Christian, and the Bible says where two or three are gathered, the Lord is there to bless. So this is a lot. This is more than 2 or 3. I will be looking here. You will be looking there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I want you to see some of what I want to talk about. It's interesting that I thought about an icebreaker. It's always something that I think about. What do I say first? So I'm finally at UWI. I have been applying since 1989. And every year I was turned down. And so I never made it academically, but I'm here today.
Okay.
As a lecturer.
And this all-important topic that we will be discussing, the employee's experience as the ultimate business strategy to transform your brand. It is something that some people think they know what it is saying, but it may be something totally different. Because when we talk about employees' experience, we think about that little part on your resume where you say work experience from September 2009 in my case to present, right? That's what we deem experience. But it goes way beyond that and deeper than that. And that's what we are about to explore. So those photos that you're looking at up there is a part of our employees' experience at 3M. The top photo is how we celebrate our mothers on Mother's Day, and we do that every year. So a part of their experience with working with the company is to be celebrated as mothers. They don't just come and give us their time and their energy and their talent. We reciprocate it by acknowledging them for achieving children. Not everybody does. I don't have any. So that's something that is good for our society. There are societies right now that are asking people to come in because nobody's being born. So children are important. So we celebrate our mothers, and so we do our fathers as well, not just mothers. In fact, at 3M, we have paternity leave, right? So the employee's experience at 3M is so much different from a lot of what I've heard. The other one is we have an academic excellence program, where if a child of a staff member is getting grades on their report card of 95% and higher, they are recognized. I think it's 90%. 90%. They are recognized every single year as part of our academic excellence program. So the experience, therefore, is not just that dash, that time that you spend. It's how you spend that time. How did you feel? What did the organization do to build you as a person and to recognize that you are more than the skills and the competence that you have? You are a real person with real feelings, and that's what we're going to be talking about, right? So we're starting now with the definition. It says, what is employee experience, right? Are you seeing it?
Yes.
Okay. So it is the sum, we're adding up all the interactions an employee have in our employ. So while they're employed to us, the type of interactions, because not everyone have the same interaction. It depends on who you're working for. In the same organization, you may have one employee working for a supportive manager and the other one working for an autocratic manager. They're not going to have the same experience. But if that person goes over to the supportive, when they're talking about their experience, they will speak about where they were and where they are now. Does that make sense? So it's a sum. So they're not just going to talk about the bad things. They talk about when the change happened or when the autocratic manager was trained or mentored or coached and was transformed from that type of leadership style to supportive, right? Then the person will have a story to talk about. Okay, I remember when I used to work for Miss McFarlane and she was this way. And my goodness, today she is another way. So that's why it says it's a sum total. It includes everything from personal relationships to the physical work environment. There's something very popular, we'll talk a little bit about it as well, called employee engagement, right? Nobody gets engaged without a relationship. Have you ever heard that? No? Even if you met him in a day or her, there is some kind of bond that is formed between you and that person for you to become engaged. It is no different in the workplace. It is relationships that makes it work well. So when you come to work and you're not getting along with people, it's a problem. You get stressed out. You don't want to go. Or you practice presenteeism if it's your boss. You don't really like them. So you're not working for them because people work for people, correct? Yeah. At the end of the day, people work for people, and we're going on the same. And it says employee experience ultimately shapes the health of your organization. Is that up yet?
No, I think it was the bottom of the previous one.
Oh, I'm gone.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay,
Right.
I don't want to be gone. Right, so it says employee experience ultimately shapes the health of your organization. I think you need to go for me. Right, so when we talk about the health of the organization, therefore, are we talking about the quality of the computers and the chairs and the audio visuals? What are we talking about? We're actually talking about the people and how committed and loyal they are to the organization that results in optimal productivity. And that's the end game. Nothing that 3M does, paternity leave, recognition of parents, recognition of children, we want a return on that investment, and we're getting it. Because those mothers and fathers will do everything in their power to make sure that 3M wins. Because they love the experience. So the organization is healthy because the people are happy. When the people are not happy, so if half happy and half is unhappy, it's an unhealthy organization. Sometimes your body feels good, but your head hurting you. Aren't you sick? Yeah. Get a cut on your finger, it hurts the entire body. It's the same thing with the organization. So a healthy organization is one that has a culture of inclusion and support. And I'll use that word a lot. People need support from their leaders. And when they get that support, they will give you more than you bargained for without you asking for it. That's just the way it works. So when we're talking about employee experience, that's what we're talking about. What makes somebody want to get up in the morning and is not feeling when I say, I am going to work? Because I know if I go to work, if anything happens to me, people's going to take care of me. Right? So I'm not going to stay home. I'm going to go to work, and if I don't feel better, somebody from work will take me to the doctor. All of that. All of that. Do you know that there are actual employees when people are sick and they say they're sick and they just pass them? No, you're not leaving here until 5 o'clock. No concern. So can you imagine the experience that that person is having? And it happens in the workplaces every single day. When people are seen as commodity, as opposed to being a person with needs and wants and relationship. That's why I say it comes out of a relationship. No employee is going to get engaged and want to do everything for that leader or for that organization if they do not have a relationship with somebody, and they cannot have a relationship with the building. No matter how good the technology is, they cannot have a relationship with technology. They have relationship with people. And incidentally, the leaders set the tone for that relationship. You will find that if a leader is authoritarian, the next person who wants to lead that team thinks that that's the way to behave to get there. Am I making sense? Yeah. So what you find, the upcoming leaders now acquire that same posture, right? And what happens is that the good talent just slip away. And you know, it's funny because some people really don't care. They just employ other talent to keep slipping away. Yeah. But that organization is not healthy. So let's talk about employer brand. So when we talk about transforming your brand, we are not talking about, like, let's say use a brand in Jamaica, a very popular brand. I don't know if I can. Well, let's call it You Is a Brand, right? Mm-hmm. Right. So we're not talking about the University of the West Indies brand. We're talking about something called an employer brand. And what is that? It is the organization's reputation as a place to work. It's either a great place to work or it isn't. So it's the middle road doesn't really work. It's not healthy. When it's healthy, it is a great place to work. When it is unhealthy, it's just not a great place to work. So it says it's the company's or the organization's value proposition to their workers. You are what makes things happen, not the machines. And no matter how clever man becomes and get robots to do, somebody has to service those robots. Somebody has to change the batteries, fix the mechanics in it. So we will always need people. So this notion of that robotics is going to change everything and people are not going to have anything to do, it makes absolutely no sense. Just acquire the skills associated with robotics and you will have a job. It may be not what you're doing now. So the employer experience is that value proposition. When you come to work for 3M, for example, what kind of culture should you expect? One of inclusion and engagement and fun, doing what you do, and people supporting you. Just about anything you want to do, there's somebody to go to help you. And they help you as if it's their job to help you. They're so happy to help you. You get a new sales rep coming on and say, oh, I don't understand Salesforce. Oh, you don't understand? Somebody's right at her desk telling her this is how it works and sitting with her. That's the type of environment. And it is not led by any leader. None of us are saying, go and show that person anything. All the person has to do, and we tell them during the orientation that people will just help you. And so that when you shout and you holler for help, everybody's coming down to help. So it's that value proposition. And that is leadership-led because that's what we do. If somebody is doing something, working on a bid, for example, all the managers are working on the bid. It's our bid. We don't sit in our office, cross our legs and say, well, You know, they do the copying. We are sorting through papers. Everybody is in on it. So you see what happens? That's spread to the team members. And they do the same for each other. And they do the same for us. Right? So it's good to have a nice brand. Umi is a great brand. As I said before, I wanted to join this brand to study, but it didn't happen. Right? But at the same time, if the people in the faculty of sociology,
Social sciences,
right, are not gelling together, not working together, and not, are not having healthy relationship, the employer brand is flawed. Do you get it now? Yeah. Let's move on. So, employee experience as a business strategy. Now, as I said to you before, we at 3M invest in our people. We invest in their development. We invest in their need for social interaction and having fun. And we invest in just about everything. Why? Because there is a link between that investment and the company's performance. When your company gives so much to you, you naturally want to give back. And you want to work there forever. When the competition calls you, say, oh, I'm sorry. For me, there's a lot of companies who call me, and maybe they're offering me the product that I dreamt of many years ago, that I'll have the job that have that. But I already know what I have. And it's very hard to give it up because it's good. You get up in the morning and you're going to work and you're not going into an environment where there's a long-faced person over there and you can go in and say good morning and everybody, and we chat and we laugh and we talk about current affairs, and the managers and the employees are in the lunchroom together, eating and talking together. We're not higher than them. We just have a title that says leader. And we see them as potential leaders. So they have to see that leaders are real people. And that's a part of the experience, where you're working with real people who may drive a Benz and you drive a Corolla, but it doesn't matter. They are just people. They get sick and they go to the bathroom. Yeah? Right? That's where we're equal, right? Yeah. And so why not then open yourself up that people can come in? Because there's one thing to say. There are many organizations who says, well, we have an open door policy. You can always come into my office, but they're closed. So the feedback that you want, you're giving them feedback. Today, Des, in the meeting, you were a little strong, and I'm like, I don't think so. You think that's what I do? No. I listen, because that's how I grow. It's your people. When you come in, you have to be open, not just your door. Because the door can be open and they know that you're not open, they won't come in. And if you have an open door policy and nobody's coming in, they're not having a good experience with you. And when they're having a good experience, they tell you even what you don't need to know. Good morning, Des. This morning I am going to the examination depot. I have a 9 o'clock appointment, but I hear that it may take long, so I'm going for my driver's license. I don't have to know that. But I tell you everything. I'm at my mother's birthday is tomorrow. I'm going to pick up a cake. The other day, this young man at the office, it was one of the managers that took him to PriceSmart to get his mother's birthday cake. You see what I mean? He's a I don't know if his generation exists. He's a young boy. But he recognized that he's with a team of persons who cares beyond the work. And Shanna drove to PriceSmart and got his cake, and I don't know how he got it home. I don't know, maybe she dropped it home. I don't even know. But he was so happy, and he talks about these things. The experience that what he is having, right, already just a year, and his loyalty is to 3M is what? Solid. You think it's the pay? No, it's the people. It's the people. So it says, organizations that invest in employee experience usually make the link between employee experience and business performance, right? Over Christmas, he came to me and says, they didn't apply for the leave, but they say I have to stay. So that's cool. I'm going to work through the holiday. That's cool. No problem. I had some plans, but that's cool. They say I have to work. And I said, okay, Danielson. Great.
He's IT.
Right. And he's IT. That's why he had to work. Right, because we're doing business transformation and a lot of IT changes happening, and so they chose to do a lot of them over the holiday season. But his thing was, hey, that's cool. Why? Because of the experience. You see, if he wasn't having that experience, he would be mad. How could they do this to me? We see it all the time. I have people in Evening 3M who reports regionally and not having that experience regionally. They have it locally, right? And sometimes they come to me with a complaint and I say, you know why that is happening? You're not having a good experience with your boss. I say, this is true. Because I say, I know you. What you're telling me that you don't want to do is something that I asked you to do it, you would do it. And she said, yes. I said, I know. So even within the organization, because we're regional, so locally, the engagement is strong, but virtual leadership is another thing. And most of us report virtually. But what we, the local leaders, ensure is that they're having a grand time amongst the people that they see every day. That's important. The end game is engagement, as I was saying, fueled. So I use the word fuel. It was very, very deliberate because our motivation, even as people, it goes up and down. So sometimes it needs a little top up. True? Yeah. So every leader from time to time, we have a bad day. We said the wrong thing. We had the wrong attitude. We have to go back and get refueled and talk to ourselves and say that wasn't right and apologize to the person who we hurt. It's okay. It's a good thing. It's a healthy thing. I always say trust is hard to build, but it takes a millisecond for it to be gone. However, if you were trustworthy before and you go back to that same person who says, you know, I had a misstep. I'm really, really sorry. When I was talking to the person, I didn't even realize that I was telling something that I shouldn't. And I know it hurt because you trusted me. You know what started happening immediately? That trust started building back up. The fuel start popping up. And unless you do that over and over and over again, that person is not going to hold it against you forever and say, because you said, I'm sorry, and you accept that there was a misstep. As a leader, that is something that I have done over and over and over again. It builds your credibility. It builds respect for you as a human being. If you are leading, you make mistakes, don't you? You make mistakes. We make mistakes. We're not perfect. And when we get that feedback, we can either enrich that employee's experience by admitting or letting that person feel that you've made me have a bad day because you know you were wrong. And they go back to their desk feeling like, wow, why people have to be like this? Because when it happens to us, that's how we feel, right? That she knows she was wrong, but she's not accepting it, right? So the employee experience is a business strategy because when people are happy, they stay. And they stay with the experience that they have and the growth that they have and that desire to use their skills, and you can only benefit from it. I'm not talking about the presentees in people, because I've found something about engaged organizations. Those people hide. They hide. And when they find that they're being shown up, it pulls them up automatically. Because if everybody is up and you're down, everybody's going to see that you're the odd one out. And we have found that engagement pulls the disengaged up. Because when other people are pulling in one direction and you are going in the other direction, you kind of start feeling exposed and it pulls you up. So let's break down engagement. And I've come up with my own. I mean, I've been speaking on engagement at conferences and all different things. And I have come up with my own definition of engagement. And it is let's read it together. The loyalty and commitment an employee feels towards his or her leader that results in employee-initiated extra effort toward achieving organization's strategic goals. You know, every talk I give, I have to talk about Nadia and Kamisha. Kamisha, well, is one's customer service, and Nadia is AR, and we're in sales. And at the end of the month,
AR?
Accounts receivable, sorry. Friends acronym, so I'm so sorry. Right? So she's accounts receivable, so if the accounts are bad, you know, the delivery cannot be made, etc., etc. So they work closer together, especially coming to the end of the month, like now, to make sure that every single order that can go out, it goes out and delivered so that we make the month, because we have monthly targets. And Kamisha will work up to midnight without overtime to get those orders. And sometimes after midnight when Nadia's texts come in to say, the sale for the month is this. They're at home. Sometimes they leave the office and go home, continue working without overtime pay. Now, what do you call that? That's employee initiated, because I've never asked anybody. Sometimes I have to, in the past, and it doesn't happen as much, I would call Camille. I said, Cam, where are you? It's 8 o'clock. It's just one more. I said, Cam, you can't take the computer and go home. You cannot stay at the office. No, it's 8 o'clock. And you're going over to the car park. Again, you see what I'm talking about, supportive leadership? I have to be concerned. She has to come out and she has to cross the road and go over to where Knutsford Express is to get into her car. I don't know who is there at that time. I'm in my home. So I'm saying to her, for your safety, I know you want to get it off. Right? How do you think she feels when I do that? She feels good, because as much as she's so focused on getting the company's thing, somebody's focused on taking care of her. And that's the role of leaders. If we take care of people, they take care of the things that matter to us, because the numbers matter to us. The numbers matter greatly, but at the same time, we have to take care of our people. And remember, it says employee initiated. Nobody has ever asked Nadia to do what she does. Nobody has asked Kamisha to do what she does. I've said it over and over again. Whether or not we're at work or we're not at work or we don't have to watch those people. In terms, they come to work and they do what they're supposed to do. They know what their metrics are. They know how important their jobs are, and they just do it. And that is engagement. Because as leaders, one, we give them the autonomy to think for themselves. Right? And when they need support and when they make mistakes, we don't beat them up. We help them to solve it. We encourage them to be honest about the mistakes that they have made, and we help them to fix it. That's another thing. People make mistakes. So in a healthy organization, people make mistakes, but we don't beat them over their heads for it. Now, mistakes is different from stepping outside of the boundaries. Now, that's a different matter. Right? When somebody steps outside of the code of conduct, that's not a mistake. And that is dealt with the way it's supposed to be dealt with. But sometimes in the numbers and, all the figures and the different procedures, little things happen, right? But a healthy organization then work with those employees to ensure, because they're not bad people. It's a mistake, and we have to look at the sum of what they have done, and not just that one thing. The people who doing performance appraisal, and they remember that one time, or the recency effect. So if it happened close to the thing, the whole thing, nothing, the whole thing. Well,
Halo and horns.
Yes. And so what 3M does, 3M has now implemented a system where you have give and get feedback consistently. So you have a record of what the employee has done, not just the recent thing. Of course you're going to note that thing, but it just goes into the mix. Remember, we talk about the sum of the person and not just that one thing. Next slide. So now we're going to look at the stages in the employee life cycle when employers can impact positively the experience, right? Because if the employer brand, right, is what is the outcome of experience, somebody is going to tell what kind of brand the 3M has, what kind of brand the university have, what kind of brand a certain faculty has, right? Because when you're big, you're split up into different things. So people have different experiences. And you'll find that you'll talk to somebody else from another faculty and you're shocked at what they're experiencing compared to your experience. Sometimes it's better than yours, sometimes it's much worse than yours, right? So we, and click on for me, Trish, you can click them all on. So we're going to be looking at how do you attract, how does the brand help you with attracting, now I need to put my glasses on to see on my paper, right? To recruit top talent. One of the things that we have in terms of referral program. And when you have a healthy organization like we have, people don't want jokers around them. So when they're referring people, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to refer people that are in line with the way they know the organization functions, right? So our ability to attract, if I had a penny for every time someone called me want to work for 3M because they were talking to somebody who worked there and how they say how exciting it was and it's hard work, but how, and they said, Miss McFarlane, they say, you're so nice, right? It happens all the time. Your ability to attract top talent is based on your employer brand. What is the experience that the people are having on a daily basis? Is it fun? It's hard work. I have never worked as hard as I've worked at 3M. Never in my life. It's a school, it is hard work, it is painstaking projects, it's analysis and reanalysis and ensuring that things are done the right way. But it's rewarding at the end of the day because you're part of a team and you're not doing it on your own. You're doing it as part of a team. So the next one is hire. So you can attract, but if when they come and they come to the interview, they find something different, you're not going to hire them. They don't want to come with you. But when they're getting a feel, you know, Trisha and I have done interviews and people say, when can I start? I'm getting a feeling from you guys. Like, I want to be here. Just from the interview, just being an interview, they're getting that feeling that we're people that they want to work for. Because at the end of the day, people work for people, right? The next one is onboarding. And I'm going to talk to Trisha a little bit from now about her experience, but I'm going to talk a little bit about our onboarding program is so detailed that when an employee has gone through that, sometimes I said I feel like they've been in training for a very long time, all those 3 months, because they learn so much. It's very important. It's not just getting people in, attracting them, and when they come, you just put them at a desk and through and say, fend for yourself, as we say in Jamaica. That's not what we do it. We have a structured onboarding or orientation program, and sometimes it's even people have a buddy, somebody that they can go to. But they see me, first they meet with HR, they're introduced where the bathroom is, where the lunchroom is, everything, right? What our culture is like, what they need to pay attention to, you know, everything. And they talk to all the departments. There's a meeting set up with everybody to say what they do and how they will support you, and whether this is just by information because your job is not linked to that person, but not because it's not directly linked. It's one organization, so we take them through everything so that they get a feel as to what the organization is like. And then the engagement starts, and the engagement therefore is between the supervisor and that employee. That supervisor now has to be supportive, a teacher, a coach, a mentor, going out with the person and demonstrating what it should be like, giving them consistent feedback. And we do that consistently, maybe for the first year, that close relationship with the person, that the person can feel that, okay, and we have the talk. What are your plans? What are your plans? Okay, you've started this job, but how long do you see yourself doing this? The other day, someone joined us last year, and the last time I spoke to her, so I was thinking of being a nurse part-time, but with this job, and I'm enjoying it. So with this job, I don't think I can do that. I want to focus on my job. You see what I mean? So she was like, I want to go and practice my nursing part-time, but now she's realizing that the more she's learning and the more she's going to the hospitals and sharing, she's practically doing what she loves because she's in healthcare. So that's what we do. There is alignment between the person's passion and the job that they are pursuing. And if it is not, we have to talk with them, and if the opportunity comes up, we put them where their passion is. We don't hold people back. So that's the engagement part of it, where you are now supporting that person and building that person and coaching that person and then perform, right? When you let that person go now and you give them that autonomy, you have the confidence that they're able to bring home the pie, so to speak, because you have done the groundwork. They are engaged, they are loyal to you. Yeah. So they're supervisors, because that's the relationship that matters. They could have the best relationship with HR. They're not having the best relationship with their supervisor. It's not going to work. It has to be all round. Then develop. So as they're performing, we are recognizing that there are areas that needs development. We don't just slip over them. We talk about them, you know, and what do you need to do? Is it classroom change? Is it coaching? Is it mentoring? What will bring this person up? Is it putting this person with a buddy, or is it sending them to a seminar or doing a course or something? But development is an ongoing thing, right? And when I talk to Trisha, she will talk a little bit about that. And some people will go, they will depart. It's funny because I have an employee that left last October. Shakara left. I think I talk to her every single day. She talks with me still every single day. My boss. Hello, my boss. Good morning, my boss. How are you doing, my boss? And she's no longer working with us. We didn't have the type of opportunity. She left me because I could not give her the opportunity that she needed. And that's fine. But I have to admit that she left me because I couldn't do it. Yeah. But we're still friends. We talk every day. And after the earthquake the other day, she wanted, boss, how you feeling? Are you okay from wherever she is? And she have another boss. Right? So when they leave, they actually, I think if an opportunity comes back up, Shakara would gladly knows that we will call her back and say, come, and she will come. It's just that right now she wants to grow and she has left me to grow, and it's fine. So people don't have to depart. So the employer branding comes in the attracting and the hiring, and then the employee experience. You can see that the employee experience starts on onboarding. Was that clear? Okay. All right. So Trisha, I'm going to talk to Trisha now. Yes, leave your photo up. Right. So Trisha is, I'm going to ask her to introduce herself.
Okay, my name is Trisha Dawson. I am what we call at the country manager, but otherwise called the sales manager for the healthcare business as well as the consumer and office business.
Right, and Trisha has been with 3M for 17 years?
18 years this year.
18 years this year. Okay, right.
And she looks 18.
Why, thank you.
So Trisha, what attracted you to 3M?
18 years ago, we had this conversation, and I say to Des, I remember just wanting to work at 3M at the time. I mean, think of how old I was. You want me to stand up?
No,
speak
up. Speak up.
Okay. Yes, and everybody knows 3M is a multinational. 3M is a Fortune 500 company. I remember reading that and probably not even knowing what that meant at the time, but I read up about it. But it's an international company, and I thought, well, I can start here. I certainly can start working for an international company. I knew the brands. We all know Scotch-Brite. We use it in our kitchens. We know Post-it. It's in our offices at school. It was at university when I was there at the time. So I just wanted to work at this big international company. Really, that was it at the time.
And tell us about your onboarding experience.
As Des said, it's really true. Very detailed process. I was greeted with a manual that said orientation, onboarding guide. And when I went through it, it had everything from my first, Desrine was not the HR at the time, but with the HR manager, we go through what the culture of the organization is. And it sounds simple, but it meant a lot to me at the time. I literally got a walkthrough. This is the bathroom. This is where we eat lunch. But you felt like, okay, so I know the office. And you were introduced to every single staff member. And then not only that, when I went through, I think, to page 2 and page 3, I realized that my days are numbered in this orientation guide, meaning week 1 was clearly cut out. I sit down with my supervisor on day 1. Then I go to who's in accounting, and they explain their function to me. Then I go to finance and they tell me how finance works. I go to credit and collection, which is AR now, and they tell me how that works and how the checks are collected and how my accounts now have to be up to date. So I go through everyone, and I have time is allotted with them. It was as detailed as that, and I thought, okay, this is school, just as she said, you know, and I thought this is very detailed. And when you're finished with that person, so whether it's a half an hour or an hour, you sign, everybody signs to it, that you finish this session, and then at the end of the day, you do your own reading, and at the end of the week, you give feedback. So at the time, I gave feedback to my supervisor, and that continued for 3 months. So we did the first 2 weeks where we would go through everybody in the organization. And then yes, for the rest of my 3 months, for the probationary period, I knew I was to either do my own studies. I was the healthcare medic at the time, right? And I would do my own studies, or I had courses to do, or I would go into the field just to see how it works, visit some of the distributors. But everything was clearly documented for me in this guide, and I think it made all the difference.
So now you are a country leader. So how did you develop from a sales rep to a country leader?
Yeah, again, honestly, one of the things I love about 3M is that we really have, I'm saying they because I'm speaking from the 20-year-old that started, and then now I'm speaking from my side as a leader. We have a vested interest in developing our people. One of the things that I remember my supervisor telling me at the time, and I find myself in the interviews, I say the exact same thing to whoever I'm interviewing. And if they start the job, I say your development is your responsibility. 3M tells us it's our responsibility. So our experience is up to us. So when I started, I knew I wanted to do sales for 3 or 4 years or so. I saw myself in a leadership role. I loved healthcare at the time, so I wasn't a nurse or anything, but I loved it so much, and I was developed that way. I was sent to Puerto Rico for training. I was sent to work in the hospitals over there. That's where our head office was at the time in the region. And I was given all the necessary tools to equip me to be such a good healthcare rep who had no background. I studied hotel management here when I went to the Bahamas, okay? And I was given all the tools to the point where when I started coming up to UE and making my presentations and talking to the doctors, they said, oh, you're a nurse. No, but I had everything. My supervisor worked with me as she came into the field with me. I had to do courses, I had to study the literature, but everything was there at my fingertips.
On a personal level, what is it like to work at 3M?
We're such a family, and it's the truth. We're small, 18, 17 of us. Yes, and we're such a family, and we genuinely care about each other. And I think that's what's important, and I think that's what has kept me there for 18 years. As Des said earlier, it's not easy. I mean, yes, obviously I have not worked many places in my life, but I've worked 1 or 2 before I started at 3M. And to be honest, it's the most I've ever done, and in so many different areas. And what I like about it too is that my development there was a path. So when I finished healthcare, doing the sales representative position, my supervisor knew I wanted to do something else. So he said, okay, we're going to push you forward into Lean Six Sigma. I'm sure you would have heard of Lean Six Sigma at some point. So we have Lean Six Sigma at 3M, and I was put into that role. Did I want to do it at the time? No, I'm not a math person. I do not like statistics. I never liked it here either, but I did it because I knew I was going somewhere. My supervisor saw that too. So I embraced the role. And again, as Des keeps saying it, we have the support. So I always had support. If I couldn't do something, if I couldn't do an analysis, there was somebody in Trinidad who could help me. Or we had champions, black belts. I was a green belt at the time, and then I became a black belt. And then that position, 3M only gives you that position for 2 years because they want to rotate it. They want other persons to develop. It's a nice place to start. Yes, it's a nice sounding board to get off into your leadership position. So my path was, I think it was set, it was clear at the time. And then when I finished that after 2 years, I became a supervisor for the same job I was in for healthcare. But no, I was a supervisor, not the sales rep. And I just continue to grow in the organization to the point now I have 2 businesses that I manage. So, and it has been rewarding. I don't know if anybody saw, but on the very first slide, in the picture with the children at the bottom, that's me and my daughter. She's 10 years old. She does well in school, thank God. So she is rewarded and she loves it. She works hard because she knows that mommy's company is going to look at her reports, and so she has to get her 90s. You know, mommy pushes her too, but it's important to her. And, you know, and we have Fridays, early Fridays, so we go home at 3 o'clock on a Friday because 3M wants us to get rejuvenated to come back to work refreshed on a Monday. You know, we have games day, we have monthly
Fun Fridays.
So every month we have fun Fridays. I mean, you name it, we have it. So when we talk about this, it's
and this
true.
is right across the world, though. This is not
thing.
what we're talking about here. The 3M employer brand is across the world. So the things that Trisha talking about, the Fun Friday and the early Fridays and so on. I spoke earlier about paternity leave. I did not tell you that when someone have a baby right now, we are setting up a mother's room that the mothers can go and pump their thing, and where we also have, they come to work from 8, half day for the next, so they spend the 3 months with their baby, and the next 3 months, up to 6 months, they only work half day, right? Just to get them back, you know, it's what we look at is productivity, right? It's not presenteeism. A young mother, and I've seen it, so when 3M came up with that, I was so happy because I have been in human resource for 27 years, well, in supervisory management administration, that kind of thing. And I've seen people come to me crying the first or second day that they come back to work. They're missing their baby. And there's nothing I could do. No, I don't have to do that at 3M because at half day they get to go home to their baby, right? And so we have that kind of graduation back into the workplace. And you get more out of them because they go home and they're still working. You see what I mean? The loyalty is there. Like, I know that I am home, but the baby's there. And you can see them coming up green on their computer. Again, that investment, you're getting a return on it. It's just that they are home. We have home office. I love Wednesdays. Yesterday was my best day. I work from home every Wednesday, right? So we have flexibility where you can choose the time you work. Right, because what is important is the productivity, not the seat being occupied. It's what you're getting from the people. And we have seen productivity goes up because people can, I've got one day, I had it every Tuesday evening, I'm going home, I said, see you online. You know, it's a nice feeling to wake up 2 hours later, one day for the week, right? Knowing that I don't have to face the traffic. I work harder, to be honest. Sometimes I'm afraid to leave the computer just in case somebody wants something. But I'm in my home, I'm in my pajamas sometimes for the entire day. Who cares? You know, you're working. And it's funny because sometimes we are in a meeting and we can hear babies crying or lawnmowers going. And in 3M, and we're talking about the US, somebody's having a meeting with us or anywhere in the world. And you know that they're at home. And nobody's saying, what is that? Because we know what it is. Because they hear it in our backgrounds too. And now we're coming on with this video conferencing, and my boss said one day we're going to have a pajama day where everybody stay home and we meet that way and stuff like that. You know, because what is important is productivity, and happy people are more productive. Next slide, please. Thank you, Trisha. Thank you very much. So the employee experience and the core components, and it's called respect. And when we show respect for people, their productivity goes what? We respect their views, their ideas. If we don't adopt it, we listen to them. We talk to them, not down to them. It's a collaborative relationship. So the first one is recognition. Research has shown that recognition is valued over money. When you stand up and you recognize somebody before their team members for something that they have done, it's the most amazing feeling. Right now on my WhatsApp, I have a recognition I got from a sales rep last year. And then somebody saw it yesterday and was saying, what was that? And I'm happy to say what it is. Right? It's priceless to me that an employee, I'm a manager, an employee would say, thank you for your support. You know, that's big for me. And exciting work. It goes beyond the job description. There are people who have skills and competencies. I often speak about our IT before the one that we have now, or IT administrator, and she was a graphic designer. So we saved a lot of money not having to outsource these things because Yanni could do it. And she happily did it, and we recognized her for it. Right? She never could do Sigma because she cannot walk in the sun, but she's signing up everybody, and she's, by the way, we are 18 and we are signing up 75 people, which means that the team is going up there and bringing their family or friends and everybody to walk with us to make us a big team. And we do it every single year. And Yannick would do that registration, and she would take ownership of getting the shirts and the food and everything, right? Just because she loved 3M, just because she loved working for 3M. And the other day, I saw her put up some video about 3M on LinkedIn, and I'm like, you know, work for Chick-fil-A in the United States. She can't get 3M out of, you know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. So they leave, but it's still in their bones, right? That exciting work. Security, right? It is essential. People should not feel like any day now somebody can just kick them out of their jobs, right? That is not respecting people. And for me, like now we're going through business transformation, I'm very open and honest with the employees that some of us are going to go home. So don't feel as secure as you used to feel. But when that is finished, we will let them feel secure again. But there are times when you feel insecure. But for the most part, people should feel like you're not a, you know, some managers come in and they behave like any day I can kick you out of your job. Which they can't do, by the way, but that's another thing. Pay, right? It is impactful when tied to performance. What a lot of companies do. Right across the board, everybody gets 4%. Then what about the person who is the top performer? Why they shouldn't get 10% and the person bottom performer get 2%? We have to get to the point where we are monitoring people's performance, that we pay them what they are worth, and not across the board. Across the board is not a good idea, right? Education. Right, a key factor to career, and Trisha and I spoke about that. Like 3M is a school. Every year you get your courses related to your job that you have to do, and you have to do them. And they are learning because there's an exam, and if you don't pass it, you have to do over the course. Right? So we're constantly being educated. We're being certified. She spoke about her journey in Six Sigma, learning, and which propelled her to management. Right? Education is key. Then conditions, right? It is indispensable to productivity. Sometimes our office is so cold, and I have to call Jamaica Property because when people are cold, they're not happy. A simple thing like that. So the desk is fine, the computer is fine, but it's too cold. So the conditions, right? Now, a few years ago, ergonomics came into being, where the seating must be of a particular quality to support your back and your arms and everything like that. Those things are important. The working conditions that people go to work with. And I say to organizations, you don't have to change the building and let it look like 3M, because our one is posh. It's true. It is. It's really a nice place to work. In the environment, we have a common space where you can kick off your shoes and put up your foot and sit down and work. If your legs feeling they want to stand, there are high seats that you go and stand beside and work if you want to just do something with your legs. But sometimes it's just putting some paint on the wall, refreshing the place, that people can feel that you're thinking about them, and you just have to get used to the old wall. It's putting a painting on it. It's doing something, a montage or something, to the space that makes it. Sometimes you can't have the actual things that we have at 3M, but you have pictures of them that people can look at, say a nice thing, and imagine that they're there. It works. It works. So it's not prescriptive what you do in terms of working conditions, but make sure that it's somewhere that somebody wants to go on a daily basis. And then the big one, trust. And I think I explored it. It is the foundation of engagement. If you don't trust the guy or the girl or the woman or the man, you're not, well, hopefully, Let me say, hopefully, other things will not persuade you to take the ring and get engaged, right? But in the workplace, people get engaged to leaders that they trust. And remember, this engagement is shown in the extra effort that they put in without being asked. They just do it because they appreciate their leaders. So the next slide speaks to, what does it say? The 5 pillars that impacts brand and culture. Mine is kind of blackout to see, so good to see it. The manager, and Trisha spoke to that. The managers must be supportive. You see that photo with those 4 girls goofing around? Those are the 4 managers in the office. And that was taken by a staff member. I'm absolutely sure of it. We are regular people. We goof around like everybody else. You do not have, as a leader, you do not have to be in a stiff jacket. People do not have to be afraid of you for you to lead. You notice I'm Des and she's Trish, right? And at the office, that's what we are. Nobody calls me Desrine or Miss McFarlane. Nobody. I'm Des. But if I'm around the table and they're talking and in a meeting and I go like this, there's silence. Right? Because they know who is asking for the silence. Makes a difference. So you don't need to wear a stiff jacket for people to respect you. You don't have to build up yourself so much that even when you need sympathy and empathy, you can't receive it from your people. Because you have built yourself up as someone who is self-sufficient and you don't need anybody else, right? And down the bottom, I think it's a leader and another staff member giving blood. We have a blood drive every year. We didn't have one last year, but we're having one this year. We love giving back. So again, 3 of us go out there and get our friends and our families and ourselves to come in. This lady here, Trisha, she never stopped until she give blood, you know. Every year, she tried and tried and tried and tried until she was able to do that, to save somebody else's life. Because it wasn't for her. We don't give blood for ourselves. We give it to give back. Then the role, right? People must be recognized. So what you have there is Shakara and Aranda. Shakara is the person I was talking about, who I talk to every day and she no longer works for me, right? Your job is something that you can be recognized for. It's so specific that somebody can hold up and say, you did this. Again, we must define people's role that we can know when they're successful. You should not have anybody working in an organization that you don't know whether or not they're being successful at it. It means that the metrics that you're measuring is not correct. Right, the results is what? And then there's a team. As Trisha says, we're a family. So all those pictures that you're seeing, right? We take pictures together. We just love being together and doing things together. You know, I have 2 countries. I have Trinidad and I have Jamaica. And I'm amazed if like we have something called a huddle, right? So corporate will have a huddle. And in Jamaica, we meet in the conference room together to huddle. We could all call in from our homes or somewhere else, but we want to be together. In Trinidad, they're all calling in from their different places. But here, we are together. As much opportunities as we have to be together, because after the huddle, we're going to have our own talk together. What did we understand? Who understands this? What does that mean? What did that mean? And that's what makes it work, that somebody didn't understand something and somebody else understood it. Or somebody didn't hear, so when did he say that, and so on. And so that little talk afterwards is priceless, right? And then well-being. Again, I spoke to you that we did Sigma, and that's a picture of the office, right? That's the common space, right? It's kind of posh. It's really nice. Very, very, very nice. Yes, it is. And as I said, it's not prescriptive for your organization, but do what you can. On my desk are 2 bottles of sweets. Once it used to be 2 different sweets, but now it's 1. Because I realized that they claimed that they wanted the other one, but when I bite it, don't go as fast as a ginger sweetie. So anybody who's at their desk and feel like they want a sweetie, they just come into HR. They don't have to ask me anything, right? If the door is closed, they know that I'm in a meeting, and they will say, because they're desperate for their sweetie, they put up their hand and I say, and they show me what they want, and they tip in and they take out their sweet and they're gone. Right? It's my investment in my people. It's not company's money. Every time I go to the supermarket, I make sure that I have ginger sweetie. Right? Just for the team. Right? It's a very small investment to make sure that people are happy. Because HR is the office that people need to come into and feel like it's there to help and support them. Correct? So if they're feeling bad, where are they going to come? That's why the industry is there, right? Next slide, please. Employer branding impacts business strategy. And here we're going to look at some statistics, right? 71% of companies with a clear and effective employer brand reported improved company performance, right? Why? Because you have the right people being productive. If your brand, right, is based on a good experience, a healthy organization, top talent are coming in, top talent love to be recognized, the metrics are right, what do you think is going to happen? That's why this is happening. It says companies with strong employer brands saw revenues grow by 20% and workforce grow by more than 12% in 2017. And when you say the workforce, they're doing so well that they need other people to join the team to manage. Right? Because those that are going out there are seeing opportunities and coming back to the managers and saying, look, I saw this opportunity, and then give it to someone and realize that the person can't do it. And you have to grow the organization. And if you have a referral program, they say, I know the best guy to do this, I know him. And in no time, that person is in your organization. We're going through these quickly. Then we're looking at employer branding impact on hiring strategy. 72% of recruiting leaders worldwide believe that employer branding has a significant impact on hiring. And I'm going to show you when we look at social media. Everybody going on LinkedIn nowadays to find out what people are saying about their company, or on Facebook. And some people are not saying some good things about their company, or they're not saying anything. That's another sign when employees are not saying anything. 79% of middle market executives agree that a strong employer brand is essential to their ability to attract top talent, or attract top talent. It's very important. If people are talking about what it is like to work at your institution, you have an advantage over, because people are just waiting to see you put something in the paper. They flood you. Now, I encourage in referral programs, please go through the recruitment process, because not everything that glitters is gold. So that's one thing I'm going to say clearly. We still go through the regular testing to make sure that that is the person that we want, because the employer may think the person is great, right? And if the person comes very unprepared not to answer the question because they think they have the job, of course they don't have it, right? 55% of global recruiting leaders have a proactive employer branding strategy. So 3M is one of those. We encourage people to write about their experience on LinkedIn. Of course we do. We encourage them to put it on Facebook. Of course we do. We encourage them to put it on their WhatsApp profile. Of course we do. We want people to see that they're having a great time. We want people to see that they're happy. We want people to see that they're being recognized, that if they're a good talent, they're thinking, that's where I want to go, because we are always looking for talent. 59% of recruiting leaders worldwide are investing more in employer branding. I ended up in China 2018 to work on, because I'm one of those persons who loves, so all these blood drive and all these things are my babies, right? I love giving back, and we have a school that we have adopted. Again, I love giving back, and I had the opportunity to go to work in China to give back to an organization. And 3M says, put it on social media. I'd never been on Facebook before. That's my first foray on Facebook, because I wanted to share with the world what my company was doing. I traveled for free to China. It was hard work, but it was so good. It was so good to give back and to leave that organization that was struggling with a plan as to how they can grow and develop. That's amazing stuff. So next slide. The main benefits of employer branding: lower cost per hire. Referral, easy, quick, nothing in the paper. People are sending people to you, and you don't have to spend that money because it costs money. Better talent pool. So you're getting, because people want to work for you, they send you things. Sometimes I can go in my drawer and look and say, who is there? Because they're sending it. They want to work for 3M. They're seeing things. Faster time to hire, again. But I do not take people who tell me that they're going to go on vacation and then come to work for me. That's not right. Right? Give you a month's notice, because I don't want you to come and do that to me. You'll do that to me. Right? So we don't encourage that kind of thing. But faster time to hire means that the person make up their mind quicker, because when you're going for top talent, especially people who are not looking, and I'll talk about them a little bit more. You have to really convince them to want to come to you. Engage the employees. As I said, the people who want to come to your happy space are usually happy people, right? They love that kind of environment where they have the autonomy to be themselves. Now, we have a code of conduct, but we don't want everybody, I don't want everybody to be like Desrine. I'm really ultra conservative, like I'm bland. So I like colorful people, right? I do. I admire them for their color because they bring out the best in me that I don't have, right? So engage the employees, lower employee turnover, right? We have people doing years, 20 years, 17 years, 15 years, and 10 years, right? Shakara, who left us, she was on contract for 7 years, right? And we have other people who are on contract that are not looking for a job. One of them tell me, I'm not leaving this desk, I'm sorry. I'm not leaving, this is what I know, I'm sorry. To go where? It's the brand, right? And savings on salaries. Because people don't only come for salary. Maybe you're not even paying what they're getting, but when they look at the total paternity leave, that graduating thing after maternity leave, fun Fridays, early Fridays, all of those things add up. So we don't just tell people about money. It's a total brand, what you're coming to. And we pay people for what they're worth, but we're not gonna blow up our budget just to get somebody, right? And the next one, and I'm gonna go fast on this, other positive outcomes of employer branding. Now I have to look up here to get these because the way they come in. Job security, next. Exposing candidates to more development opportunities. Affording candidates opportunity to work in a better team. People are running from the unhealthy organizations to work in a better team. Having values that matches the candidate's values. That's important. Being talked about positively by present and past employees. It is amazing. Nobody don't really leave 3M because when you're talking with them, they're talking about us. So they've gone somewhere else for another opportunity, but in their hearts, they are 3Mers. Next one. The ability to offer candidates more than attractive wages. As I said, I got a call from, I think it was Lasco the other day. And I told him something impossible because I didn't want to go. I told him, okay, give me $24 million on a product and I'll come. I know they weren't going to give me that, so that was it. I really didn't want to go, right? I love what I'm doing. And so, but if they had offered me $20 million on the product, I'd probably consider it, but that's what I wouldn't. All right. And the competitive advantage of hiring top talent without having to break the bank. As I said, people come for more than money. They come for the total package. Next slide, please. I'm going to go quickly. So how does it impact recruitment? I think I've gone over this, so you can go. So social media impact. Very, very important. Here it says, and we can read that together. According to LinkedIn, companies that invest in employer branding sees a 50% reduction in cost per hire. So the time that it takes for them to get a recruiter, to pay a recruiter, to do all of that, referrals are coming in. Referrals are coming in. People are seeing them on LinkedIn and reaching out to the organization. Do you have anything coming up? And you look at that person, you put a tick beside that person. You get to know that person. That's what social media is allowing us to do these days. So we have a bank of people that is just out there waiting. Next slide, please. And this slide actually shows that top social media platforms use to gather information about employer brands and open. See? Facebook, LinkedIn, Google, Instagram. I'm not sure what this is. Twitter. What is one? Oh, what is this?
Pinterest.
Pinterest, right. Even Pinterest. There you go. There you go. People are putting things out there everywhere. Next slide, please. Just go. Right. So I want to talk about the passive candidates. It's like me, who's not looking for a job and people looking for me. So they go on LinkedIn and they see my profile and they hunt me down. Right? So I'm what you call a passive candidate. I'm not looking for a job. Right? They represent 60% of the workforce, right? And are desirable and are more desirable for recruiters. So you see, they're not looking for a job, so you know that they're happy where they are, and you know that there's a reason for it, and so you want that talent, right? Because they are motivated to pursue potential new roles for the right reasons, right? For me, I would need a job that makes me feel the way I feel, or better than I feel. I don't know if that exists. Getting up and going to 3M. I know my people. I know my company. And we're not perfect. But we have certain standards that we don't go below. So the things that happen in other organizations don't happen at 3M. The culture just does not allow it to happen. So you don't have people who vex with people and talking about people and oh, that person don't talk, and you come in and you feel like somebody is talking about you. And honestly, we don't have time, we have too much work to do. It's hard work there. That's why when I hear the lunchroom and people bursting out with laughter, it sounds like music to my ears. Because when we're working, if you come to the front desk, you wonder, is anybody there? So we're having fun. We're having fun. So it says, what attracts the attention of passive candidates? Salary, growth opportunity, work-life balance, promotion from current level to another. So it has to be something. If I tell them 24 million and they're proud of it, I'll come. You won't. So you can see the percentage, right? So salary 69% up, growth opportunity 49, work-life balance 49, and promotion to another level is 35. That is not even the highest. When you would think that somebody moving, they want to be promoted, but that's not what the researchers show. Next slide, please. So this is key. So what are the requirements for building a successful employer brand, right? The first one is high impact leadership. You see, if you are going to build a high performance team, you have to have the energy to do it. You have to have the commitment to do it. You have to believe in people. You have to believe in supporting people. You have to walk the talk, right? Because people follow their leaders. They literally follow their leaders. I believe that some of the things that we see at work, the commitment that we see at work, is because I see the same thing in us. Right? I'll be home working after work and the same Kamisha is online and she said, yes, Des, I see you. It's 6 o'clock, I'm here and you're there, I see you. Right? So you see, you're walking the talk. Agile people strategies, right? It's not the same like everybody. As I told you, 3M has so many things that is not like everybody. So if for me to leave 3M, I have to look deeply into what I'll be going to, as opposed to what I have. And it keeps getting better and better. We're going to Devon House on the 7th for picnic, Friday picnic. The whole of us bring your picnic stuff and somebody going to bring all kind of treats and we're going to have fun and play games on a mat at Devon House. Where am I going to get that from? Where is that? I don't know. It's agile, it's moving, and we have karaoke and we have, oh Lord, we have so many games that we've never known of. And we're playing this in every country. So this Fun Friday, we're part of a region, and it's happening on the same day in every country, and we're sharing photographs as what's happening in each other's country. It's agile people strategy that goes beyond the norm, right? Recruitment, selection, and stuff. The HR is finished with that. You can outsource those things. What you cannot outsource is that environment that you create in the organization, that people can feel welcome. Clear goals and vision of the future, the big picture. People must see. 3M is the first company I've worked for will tell us how much sales, how much money they make. Every month. There's no secret in 3M. How can you work towards something that you do not know? So we all know the big picture. We know when things are down and we know when things are up. And you have in an organization a lot of people working towards what they do not know. They don't know, right? Blueprint for actions to achieve goals and visions. 3M love to map out things, and if they have to put I've been on so many teams to map, this is a problem, and we need to map it, right? We need to go from the is map to the should map, and how we're going to get, so we have the is, and we know where we want to go, and then we have to work on the project, how we're going to get there, and keep the people happy, because at the end of the day, we want to keep the people working and happy while we're getting there. And so in HR, I find myself as part of many teams just talking about how to, the proper way to give people information. When is the right time? how to give the information, who to give the information, what are the possible questions that we'll get as a result of giving information, how do we answer when you talk to somebody in Trinidad and the same answer they get. That's how much we plan. The blueprint is the same right across the board. One message. Communicating in ways that builds, right, so there's powerful conversations. I love to have powerful conversations with employees, whether it's about their personal development or about their job or where I see them and where they see themselves. And sometimes when they come to my office, they say, you know, there's a thing, I want to try that. I'm like, yeah, go for it. Right? Those powerful conversations encourage forward thinking and create synergy within the team. People start to work together and to try to get that recognition that will propel them to where they want to go, and getting the right people involved. Passionate champions. There are some messages that you have that you need to get maybe not so much in Jamaica, but in other countries where you need to get the influencers on board. Right? You need to get them to be your passionate champion. And when they start talking about it, the people that they influence will buy it. These are hard things you're doing, but because they buy in, they get other people on board. So those are the requirements. It's hard work, but it pays off. Next slide, please. So getting started. Analyze your current leadership culture to determine what needs to be done. Do a SWOT and do a honest SWOT. Do not make yourself, in a SWOT of myself, I do a SWOT of myself. What are my strengths? And I say, I don't know what my strengths are. I ask people, what are my strengths? Right? And, none of us have any weaknesses, right? So it's ask people to. Ask people. They'll tell you. Right? That's the openness. So do a SWOT of your culture. Do not get to a place where you don't want to change, so you hear what you want to hear. If you're going to do this, if you're going to have that employer brand that people are attracted to, you have to look at yourself and see yourself for who you are. I have grown these 10 years in 3M. Really, the culture has made me so much better than I was, and I continue to grow. Conduct employee perception surveys. It's very important. Do it anonymously, right? And when you get the results, the employee's perception is their reality. Doesn't matter what you think about yourself, that's how they see you. You have work to do. I always give this, when I just got Trinidad 2012, first opinion survey. How is HR? 25% good, 75% no. 0 in the bag. But that was bad for me. So I went through them and I said, okay, this is the result, so please tell me, what do I need to do so that you will know whether I'm good or not? Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm bad. They said, no, you're not bad. We just don't know. So I said, okay, let's work together. And over the years, I've seen it improve and improve and improve and improve. So some people take that and say, well, they said, I don't know, I don't care. And, no, you have to care, right? Because they said, I don't know. So you have to know, go back to them and find out. So when you get the results, take it as it is. Highlight the organization's strength, right, as often as possible. There are some things in 3M that every single time we have a meeting is reinforced. What are our strengths, right? What are the things we are known for? We are innovative, right? And all. So we have those and they are reinforced. That when you think 3M, you think those things, right? You don't want to leave those things. Pursue management development programs. Time? Yeah, I'm almost finished. Pursue management development programs. It's extremely important, right? Because if you get a survey and a manager is in the red, you have to act. If you don't act, it's going to be worse than before you did the survey. Because they think they just want their opinion, but you don't want to do anything with it. Hold management accountable for employee experience. And the last one said, start measuring employer brand by pursuing a referral program, right? It will tell you whether or not people are looking at your organization and whether your employees think that their friends would want to work with you. My final slide, please. So it says, how employees describe their experience while in our employ will either enhance or hinder our ability to attract top talent. Employees delight in sharing their stories, and the messages in those stories will always reference our leadership culture and ultimately define our employer brand. Finally, your employees' experience matters. And that's it.
This is a comprehensive presentation, and it's clear that not only us should be here as people in academia, but we want to have the leaders of companies to be sitting right in the middle here, because what you have shared with us is that full and comprehensive focus on people will ensure that organizational effectiveness is guaranteed. And those two coming together, that is enough for us to start to look carefully at organization, and also for our program to see how we can help to instill this type of learning as we get our graduates to take on organization in a serious way. So the idea of building and maintaining relationship, and you're really reinforcing this important quality. So thanks very much, along with your colleague, for sharing with us this afternoon. We'll take time to ask a few questions. A few questions, Thomas? Yeah. And we will wrap up after. So questions, please?
Right, well, my first question, you had answered it though, because I was going to ask you about your recruitment, because you had mentioned at first the whole thing about the referral system, but then you say that on top of that, you do have a more traditional recruitment. So I was listening out for that. But there was one other thing that I had. As you see, I'd made a lot of
notes. But as you look for it.
And I'm not even an HR person.
Yeah. As you look, there's, in organizations, persons will be going along with the happenings of the organization, but suddenly, for whatever reason, they regress. They seem to fall behind. Now, how do we help to get back those persons online? Because it can impact the organization significantly.
Okay, so there are two ways. We do not implement a corrective action plan, for a first offense or a second offense, but we have a process called corrective action planning. When things start happening, we actually encourage the supervisors to start the coaching, start having a closer relationship, especially if it's on the road, a sales rep or so, start going out with them and finding out exactly what is going on and try to have that one-on-one relationship with that person. If that is not working, then we have a formal program called a corrective action plan. It goes for 3 months and it names specifically the areas that the person is falling down. Then it builds out projects and deliverables that the person needs to meet in that 90 days. It involves weekly meetings with the person to see how they're progressing. And so again, it's working closely with the supervisor. I am actually the person in charge of it for our region, so I'm able to provide coaching, as well to the managers, because sometimes it's not going very well. What to do, because a lot of time it's around interpersonal interplay, where the person don't want to speak to their manager or stuff like that. So we have to get past that. As I said, 3M is not perfect, so we do have persons that from time to time we have to put them on the corrective action plan. The way it helps us though is that it is not good to keep someone in your organization just because. So the corrective action plan actually is one of the things that we use to document if we have to take a special action such as termination. So in that document, it is clear to the employee that they are subject to termination if they do not follow the program towards the desirable end, which is to get off and get back rhythm. We have seen sales reps who, they've been in the job for 7, 8 years, and they fall down. We put them on the plan, and it revives them, you know, and they are now star performers again. So it's not all just weeding out, but we have also found that persons have resigned during CAPS because they realize that they are failing, and the stubborn ones who decide to stay, we have had to follow through the process to termination. But the corrective action plan, I think, is one of the greatest tool, because if they call us to the ministry, usually we have the documentation to show over specific, and they have to sign. They sign to agreeing that they are not. In 3M, we have scorecards. So you manage your scorecard. So you can't say your scorecard was 3 and your manager give you a 1. It's very clear, and that goes against your record. So we'll be able to show that the scorecard is showing this, or we have something called leadership behaviors, that the scores are not what they're supposed to be. Everybody should get a minimum 3 or above. And whenever you start getting into tools for the way that you're behaving. So we measure behavior, and we also measure metrics, you know, the performance, the key performance indicators. Yeah.
Great. Comments or questions? Okay.
I was looking at the leadership. You had mentioned about an employee who apparently your culture here in Jamaica locally is different from the general organization. It might be different from Trinidad, and it might be different from the wider organization. But this, if you have artifacts that go across the whole thing.
So I think there's a 3M culture that extends right around the world. But then you have country culture. So when you come across a country culture where they're not as together as us, it's a challenge. But because when we didn't have, or we couldn't call in on our phones, everybody had to come in. But the moment they don't have to do it, they don't have to do it. We choose to do it. We could call in just the same, but we choose to be together in Jamaica. They're not doing anything wrong in not being together. They're still in the meeting. But we prefer to be together so that we can have that little conversation after the talk about whatever was going on. So the 3M, the culture that we're talking about, it is right across the board 3M's culture. But we also come across the challenges posed by a country having a particular culture.
Okay. It's now 4:10. Let me take this opportunity again to thank you very much, Ms. McFarlane and Ms. Dawson, for sharing with us. This is intriguing stuff. I think that we all need to take on board. As I said initially, we need to get some employers here because they need to hear, because this is one way to start to, and believe me, the issue of violence in school, a greater emphasis and care would start to solve this particular problem. And grappling with that myself. And the approach, the more aggressive approach we have been doing for many decades, has taken us anywhere. And this is something others need to look at. Greater emphasis on people.
Yes.
Can transform people, and that could improve our students. So again, thank you very much for your presentations.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here. I'm not a sit-down speaker. Maybe that's why I took longer, because I normally do my time. I'm used to standing and moving around, so.
It's all right.
We have a few presentations. We have 2 presentations.
Oh. Oh, it's me?
Yes.
Okay.
You guys have a culture in your organization.
We do. We really do. innovation company, so everybody
Yeah,
wants to
a
stand
gift.
out, everybody wants
Yeah,
to
yeah.
innovate.
Is it?